So last night, RFK Jr. held a 2-hour event with Rabbi Shmuley Boteach on fighting anti-Semitism and supporting Israel. And this was a very controversial meeting that he was having. Many of us kind of wonder, I will say that I wonder, many things go through my mind when I hear that RFK Jr. is doing another conversation about Israel, supporting Israel, or another event supporting Israel. And, you know, many of you know I'm a big supporter of RFK Jr. I hope he's not another candidate that just disappoints me. That happens over and over again. We can never fall in love with politicians because they're always going to end up disappointing you. And I know many of you are big supporters of his as well. But this is the one thing that many people are kind of like, except when it comes to his surprisingly, just seemingly, I don't even know the right word, but he's just staunchly, proudly supportive of Israel. And what many of us are bothered by is the fact that we feel like we see him posing more with the Israeli flag than with the American flag. I feel like I see more photographs of him supporting Israel than supporting America. This is a foreign country. It's a foreign country that, on a dime, if they felt like America was no longer supporting their interests, they would flip. They're not our allies through thick and thin. We're told to be their ally through thick and thin, but they're not necessarily ours. I mean, they would just, if they felt like they could find a better ally and it happens to be somebody we don't really like, they would totally do it. They're looking out for themselves. Israel looks out for itself. And it really would be nice if America started doing that as well. Start focusing on us, start focusing on the nice things that we could potentially have in our country if we stopped giving our money away to all of these different foreign nations. So he did this 2-hour event. It was originally canceled. He was meant to be doing this at a different venue, and they ended up canceling it. Actually, there was a bit of drama with this. Here's RFK Jr.'s tweet on this before we get to the actual event, what was said. He says, the New York Society for Ethical Culture just canceled my event with Rabbi Shmuley scheduled for tomorrow night. They're evidently under tremendous pressure since they violated a binding contract and canceled without explanation. This shows the DNC's fierce determination and awesome power to censor criticism of an embattled president. We are looking for another venue for tomorrow in Manhattan. Stay tuned. And he said, let Ethical New York City know if you oppose this form of political censorship, help us protect free speech. So they canceled this one day before the event, and they cited that it was, they claimed that it was, let me see, I actually have what they said that it was, that our leadership, they said it was short notice that we were booked for this event, and our leadership now only realizes that the program you are planning to present is inconsistent with the kind of programming that we support and promote, and is inconsistent with many of the values we represent. So we're not really sure what that means. Was this just another Democratic op in order to silence RFK Jr., to say, we support the DNC, we're super pro blue team Democrat, you're not the establishment Democrat candidate, so we're just going to make up some reason to cancel your event, and that is going to be that, it's just inconsistent with the kind of programming that we support, because we only support Joe Biden programming. Maybe that's what they meant, or maybe they really took issue with this staunch support of Israel, and maybe they've got, maybe they feel like Rabbi Shmuley is a bit too pro-Israel and not supporting the human rights of the Palestinians. Maybe that's how they felt, but that was just kind of an interesting thing. So they did actually end up moving this venue. And let's show you some of they ended up doing it at the Glass House in New York City. Let me just show you some of the clips that went viral that people are really talking about. The first one here is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying, quote, and this is what trended all over social media, if a Palestinian wants to criticize his government, he better do it in Israel. Okay, at first glance, seeing that, and Rabbi Shmuley, that is a quote that he put out there on his Twitter account, that exact quote with no more context, including not even the clip of Robert F. Kennedy talking about it, which when you talk about it, when you hear it, you'll hear him talking about it, he makes more sense. But he actually just put a GIF out there, or a GIF, and that quote, which leads a person to believe when you read that Palestine is inside of Israel, that if a Palestinian is going to criticize his government, he better do it in Israel, like he's going to be a part of Israel, like Palestine's going to be absorbed. It's Israel. And that is why Rabbi Shmuley would put that out there. This kind of goes to show his character, the type of person that RFK Jr. is aligning himself with when it comes to supporting Israel. So here's the actual clip. This is in context so that you can understand. Here it is.
It's the only place where women have rights. As you know, this week, people in Iran are being jailed. Women are being jailed for wearing habibs or not wearing habibs. It's the only place where gays have rights. There was 2 weeks ago a gay pride parade in Israel with 150,000 people in both Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. At the same time, the government of Iran is hanging gays from cherry pickers and castrating them. And that is true throughout the Mideast. It's the only place where there's freedom of religion, where you are free to practice any religion that you want in Israel. It's the only place where you can have freedom of expression. A Palestinian who wants to criticize his government had better do it in Israel. It's the only place where he can do it. If he does that in the West Bank, he will be tortured and killed and arrested.
Okay, so there's more context there for what he's saying rather than just the viral tweet that Rabbi Shmuley is putting out there trying to make people believe that RFK Jr. is essentially saying Palestinians are inside of Israel, that their land, the West Bank, is Judea and Samaria, which is part of Israel and should be occupied. And that is not what he was saying clearly in this clip. He's just saying that throughout the Middle East, the governments are more conservative, staunch. You are not allowed, women are not given the same human rights. People are not given the same human rights. Gays are not given the same human rights. And that if you're going to make any sort of criticism of governments, like if a Palestinian is going to criticize this government, then he's better off doing it in Israel. That's not true, by the way, in the West Bank. Plenty of Palestinians criticize their government. I was there. I watched them do it. The government, there's absolutely no problem with Palestinians. They're all criticized. I mean, Palestinians, I would love to take RFK Jr. to the West Bank, and this is an open invitation. If he wants to go, I will take him on a trip to the West Bank. I will show him around. I will take him to the places that I saw, meet the people that I met, so that he can see for himself that, for one, practically every Palestinian criticizes their government. They're all sitting there saying, the PLO did this and the PLO did that, and they need to do more, they need to do better. The Palestinians are very frustrated with their own government as well as the Israeli government. So they are actually allowed to do that. But I get his point. And if you've never been there, and if you've only heard the propaganda that you've heard about the differences between Israel and Palestine and how Palestinians treat each other, or how, if that's what you've heard. I mean, people in Gaza criticize Hamas without any consequence. You can absolutely do that in Israel. Is he right to some degree? Yes, he is. Throughout the Middle East, there are much more stricter laws, very conservative cultures. Women and and gays and others are definitely limited in rights. That's something that when I was in Palestine, they even talked about how they're working on increasing women's rights for the region. That they understand that it's that women are not as progressed as they are in the West, and And I met with women's groups who are trying to gain, women's like feminist movements of Palestinian women who are wearing their full hijabs, and they were talking about how they were lawyers and they were doctors and scientists. These women were, and they were saying, and we want more rights, and they were fighting for that while at the same time respecting their religion. That is what they chose to do. So there's just some more context to that clip. It's not as atrocious as people thought. I do want to skip ahead here because for the interest of time in the show, because we do have a great guest that's coming up here. But he did also admit that Israel, there was a clip that was going viral where there's been this kind of, does Israel have nuclear weapons? Yes and no. It's never been confirmed. We pretty much suspect and know that Israel does. And he did actually basically say in one of his in one of his the clips, he said that Israel is not going to use their nuclear weapons unless they're attacked, and we know that. So he's basically confirming they have nuclear weapons. Not sure if he really knows for sure, if he's just like the rest of us who pretty much know Israel has nuclear weapons. It'd be more powerful if it came from Biden, right? Because then it's like the president of the United States really does know this. I do want to get to some of the criticism of this event. Max Blumenthal criticized Robert F. Kennedy Jr. about this in a tweet. He said tonight, this was yesterday, tonight Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is on stage defending apartheid with Shmuley Boteach, a fanatically anti-Palestinian grifter and Adelson-funded fraud dogged by financial misconduct charges. Shmuley's credentials as rabbi have been challenged by his own teacher. I think we have that tweet that we could show you from Max Blumenthal. There it is. So he's saying that, he's an apartheid, defending our apartheid with Shmuley Boteach. Yeah. So it is really disappointing, actually, to see him take such a strong stance in favor of Israel. I would prefer him to be neutral. I think the right stance when it comes to Israel is neutrality. Just like you should be with any country in the world, you should just be neutral and say, we are looking out for America's best interests and the best interests of the American people. And we will, when it best suits us, we will do business deals and partner with countries that we believe, align with us in that moment, and at other times with others. We should be, and so, it's not like, oh, well, I'm waving the Israeli flag or I'm waving the China flag. Could you imagine, or waving the Russia flag or waving the flag of Mexico and the United States, whatever, right? It's just odd. It's odd. But for some reason in this country, you have to do it as a politician, or you're going to be just shoved out of office. You're not going to even be in the running. The Israel lobby is going to come for you, and you're going to be toast. It's just a very odd thing. I would like to not see this. I don't want to see any presidential candidate waving the flag of any foreign country at all, or of any cause. I just want them waving the American flag. Is that too much to ask? Just wave the American flag. Say you're for America. You're for the American people, and that's it. And if you need to do deals with other countries, you need to make businesses, allies, whatever, you could do that. But this staunch, like, I am pro this other country, it's just really weird. Really weird, and I don't like it. And that country does commit human rights abuses against the Palestinians. There's really no debate in that now that there's video and internet, and we can actually get now in the West Bank, in Palestine, they don't have the best internet. It's hard to get the videos out of there. That's done on purpose. The West Bank still only has 3G. You can forget about that. In Gaza, they don't have anything. So it's very difficult to get video evidence out of those regions, but it is coming out. More people are becoming aware. There's a lot of people who are very staunchly pro-Israel. Once they go to those regions into West Bank and Gaza, they turn around with a completely different viewpoint and say, whoa, I didn't expect that. That is very different than the propaganda I have been fed in the United States. And so it'd be nice if RFK Jr. would just take a trip over to the Palestinians, because if you're going to be an American president, one of the proud kind of notches you could put on your belt when it comes to being an American president is that you helped facilitate peace between the Palestinians and Israel, that you solved that problem, that conflict between those two groups of people. You cannot do that if you're waving the Israeli flag, going around saying, I am pro-Israel, I am pro-Israel. You have got to be neutral, and you've got to say, I am pro the Jewish people and pro their right to self-determination, and I am pro-Palestinian people and their right to self-determination as well. And I will do my best as an American president to facilitate peace between those two groups of people and to end the conflict once and for all. That is the right political move. This one is not so much. As much as I like them, I really don't like this. I really, really don't like this. All right, we do need to move on with the show. But first, cbdistillery.com is giving Rumble an exclusive offer, and it's incredible. Right now, you can get up to 50% off everything when you use the code RUMBLE. You could choose from a range of carefully formulated CBD and other plant-based solutions for relaxation, stress, sleep, and pain after physical activity, even mood and focus. They extract healing plant compounds and vital nutrients for your whole body. There's no artificial colors, flavors, preservatives, or sweeteners, just 100% clean ingredients. So don't miss this Rumble exclusive sale and get up to 50% off your order. Visit cbdistillery.com and enter Rumble. That's cbdistillery.com and enter Rumble. Not available, unfortunately, in the great state of Idaho, Iowa, and South Dakota.